I'm Em Marinelli, and you're listening to the Twin Peaks Tattoo Podcast. I'm a psychotherapist, a professor of psychology, and an author of Comfort Sequels, the psychology of movie sequels from the 80s and 90s. I write for the Blue Rose magazine, and I'm a huge Twin Peaks fan. I'm not a tattoo artist or a tattoo expert by any means, but I'm a tattoo enthusiast and wanted to make a podcast combining two things I love the most. Each episode of the Twin Peaks Tattoo Podcast interviews someone about their Twin Peaks tattoo and explores what their ink means to them. You can find the Twin Peaks Tattoo Podcast on iTunes and SoundCloud. Thanks for joining. In this bonus episode of the Twin Peaks Tattoo Podcast, I talk with the amazing duo of Richard Greene, director of I Know Catherine, the Log Lady documentary, and Claire Ollivier, part of the media and marketing team for the film. Claire also happens to be the great niece of Catherine Coulson. They both share wonderful stories about Catherine, about making the film, and about touring with screenings all over. And Claire talks about her amazing Twin Peaks tattoo that lets her carry Catherine with her wherever she goes. I have included all the info to the upcoming screenings. Check it out and get tickets while you still can. You got to see I Know Catherine, the Log Lady. Here is the fabulous Richard and Claire. Thank you so much for joining. And before we started recording, we just had this great conversation about vegetables and root vegetables, which I really enjoyed. And I know that it's not necessarily about what we're talking about today, but in some ways it is, because Richard, you had asked about some of my first tattoos, and getting beets was my first tattoo on my back. Well, that's great. It's a great segue in. And we'll talk about tattoos, but before we dive into all of that, why don't we say, who you are and your relationship to the film and also to Catherine? Claire, do you want to start?
Sure. Hi, my name is Claire Ollivier. I am great niece of Catherine Coulson, and I work on the I Know Catherine, the Log Lady documentary as part of the media and marketing team. So it's nice to meet you, Em.
Oh, nice to meet you too. Thank you so much. And media and marketing, can you say a little bit more about what that's been like for you?
Yeah, so the team itself is a pretty small team, so we dive into a lot of different aspects of it, but it looks like social media posting, social media outreaching, helping with our booker, helping with our PR people, just making sure that the film can get in front of as many eyes as possible. Because like you said, it is a really important film. You feel closer to her, even if you don't know her. And
Absolutely.
that's kind of the beauty of it.
Yeah, that's great. That's a big job, yeah, to have.
I want to just jump in on that
Yeah.
for Claire. Claire came to us through her mother just emailed us, said that Claire just graduated with an MBA and she'd like to work with us a little bit on TikTok.
Awesome.
And we had just actually sought people to help us, and this came in just at the same time. And once we just as soon as I met Claire, we were off and running. Within days, she had got us booked into the Ojai Theater where Mark Frost lived, and he came and did the Q&A, as did Sabrina Sutherland. She also got us an article in Variety magazine, which is a really hard thing to do. It's Hollywood.
Totally.
We're a little tiny film, but she has this. She There's a little bit of Catherine in this woman. Her own
Hmm.
person. She's a
Hmm.
unique, wonderfully creative person who made 200 eyeglass cookies to have at the Ojai screening. I mean, this is a really, really talented, very
Awesome.
wonderful woman who I'm hoping that after we finish with the distribution of this film, and we got a couple others that are coming through the same
Mm.
portal, that Claire will stay with this company. We build a company around the talents of Claire and Stephanie and Alex and just these Alice now. We have this wonderful group of people, some of which are related through Catherine or through marriage to others, some or child. It's wonderful.
Oh, I love it. It's like a family,
Oh,
it's extended family. And Claire, it sounds like you, I mean, and I've seen it in the online presence, like you've done an incredible amount of work. And I don't know, I mean, it might
thanks.
be
It's
a bit more.
definitely not a one man job. Our art director, Alice, is, you know, doing a lot for it.
That's great. It's just a reminder of all the behind the scenes hard things that happen that make things possible. So that's great. Richard, introduce yourself. I'm sure people know who you are, but just say again and your relationship to the film and to Catherine.
So my name is Richard Greene, and I consider myself a storyteller. Somebody asked me about 20 years ago uh, what I did, and at that time I was doing a lot of voiceover. I had done Mulholland Drive as an actor. I had made 2 films as a director, and I write a lot of songs. And what I realized it boils down to is I'm a storyteller, and just like any artist, we work in different mediums. Picasso worked in paint and drawing and clay, and I have some skills in filmmaking and music and acting, but it's all the same. It's inspiration. It's the story. It's the ability to tell a story. And I also feel like there's some kind of magic involved in the world of who you meet and the relationships that you invest in and the ones that develop. I met Catherine when I was 20 years old, doing a show in Los Angeles of my improvised verse, and David Lynch and Jack Nance lived in the same apartment, and they used to come and watch me because I had a drinks tab, and David and Jack liked to drink. Catherine didn't come very often. And we just, cousins in a big family. She kept me in touch. She was part of the reason I went up to the Twin Peaks Festival in 2003. After I Don't Know Jack and Mulholland Drive came out.
Mm,
She's the one that connected David to me. David called her and said, "Hey, we used to know this magician, and he was real good with words. I want him for a part." And he didn't remember my name. I hadn't seen him in a couple of years. So Catherine was the person that was called. Catherine called Donna in my office. We figured it out after a couple of hours of I was wondering, who the fuck is this guy we know that used to be a magician and was good with words? I mean, and then we figured it out, and then we called Catherine, and Catherine called David, and then David called me and blew us all away. So my relation to this movie is that it seemed like a really good idea and worth making, and I felt that there was a market for it because there were so many people so dedicated and loved Twin Peaks. And after the interview with David, that became my mission. I felt like I had to tell this story. David's interview, which you've only seen little pieces of in the movie, it's over an hour long,
wow.
and he's wonderful. I mean, it was as intimate for me. It was as intimate as doing Mulholland Drive for him, with him to do that part for him and
Mm-hmm.
have him 30 feet away coming to me and talking to me afterward was as intimate as that interview where I was 10 feet away, 5 feet away. Actually, I was sitting on the back of a chair, but we just connected. We always had since I was 20, but we never hung out. We weren't pals. Kind of like the same way I felt about Catherine. We were members of a big theatrical family that really cared
Mm-hmm.
about each other.
And that's one of the things that sticks out so much about the film is not only did I learn so much, I learned so many things I didn't know. And I thought I was kind of like, I have like a log lady picture on my wall right now. I thought I knew a lot of things, but I learned a lot more. But what really stuck with me was just the immense amount of love and mm, like connection of all of the people in the movie, whether it's, David Lynch or Kyle, these incredible actors in interviews, folks that she worked with in Oregon, and just like her friends and family and kind of
Mhm.
artistic collaborators all around her, all speaking about the same amount of like I got a sense of who she was as a human from the love that they show in this film and the talk about in this film. And I was wondering, Claire, for you, what was it like to hear them speak about her that way and thinking about your relationship with her?
Yeah, it was, to say the least, it was a really big gift. I was explaining it to somebody the other day when I was younger. Around the holidays every year, our parents would pull out home videos and we would watch, childhood clips of us running around. And those were amazing gifts, but they were only like 5, 6, 7 minutes long. So we would rewatch the same ones every year. And then when I heard about this project and I saw the film for the first time, it felt like a really big gift that I get to watch whenever I want. And it was just so beautiful to see the way that her friends and even people who didn't really know her, the impact she had on them and the way they talked about her was really beautiful. I think especially with Annie Lundgren in the end of the film, she says, besides from the night that we went to shoot her last scene, we didn't know anybody else there, but something connected all of us. And she says that she feels really close to all of those people to this day. And I think that was, you know, goes to say how much power Catherine really had on people.
the movie is gorgeous. The second half of the movie, which is the kind of last part of her time on this particular earth and landscape and sphere, um, is as we're watching and listening to all of these people who are around her in those last days, I realized that I I was grieving as I was watching it. I was allowing myself to like have the emotions come out and feel it, what I was feeling. And at the time when she had passed, I didn't really allow myself that time. I did intentionally when David passed, more recently, but not when Catherine did. And I think it was just life circumstantial, but I realized I really needed that. And this film gave me that spaciousness and opportunity to feel and grieve along with the folks who were there. Now, I'm not trying to say that I'm like her family or her view. I didn't know her, but I think there's a lot of people like me who are, beautiful fans and that, she means a lot to, who also need this movie in order to do that. And I was curious from either of you if you have had experiences with people who have said something similar to you as you're screening it and having these conversations.
I can start at the Ojai screening. A lot of Coulson family members came because it was, the first screening. People flew in from Mendocino, from Hawaii, from all over to come see it. And my cousin, particularly, who didn't know her very well, was sitting a couple seats away from me. And from the beginning, opening credits to the end credits, she cried the whole time. And for me, witnessing that and being part of that, it was just really a beautiful experience. I don't really know how to put it other than that.
For me, I think there was a period of maybe 20 years in my life, maybe longer, that I didn't cry at all. I remember getting cast in a play in Los Angeles and I had to cry. And it was very, very hard for me to get there. I think I had built up some kind of toughness shell to keep myself moving forward. Not that I didn't feel strongly emotion strongly. Once I started working on this film, to this day, although it's much better now, I couldn't stop crying. And it would easily trigger about anything. Some beautiful, positive little thing would make me cry. I'm crying now. And the reason I don't believe that it's because I'm grieving, because I didn't know Catherine that well. I think it's because I'm empathetic and I picked up on all of these people, their grief, their emotion, and it has keyed me into a much more kind of broader view of the world, of empathy, of what we're doing here. The people on the street that would cut me off in a car that I'd get pissed off at, all of a sudden, that guy is a person to me, even if he's an asshole, and there are plenty of assholes. And I get angry. It's not like I'm crying over every slight, but I just feel, I guess I just feel more sympathy for all of us. Maybe more pride in those of us that get out of bed every morning and try to do something good. Sorry.
And the part that you're speaking to that resonates with me is like the joy and the how inspiring she was and is, and how the film really captures that part too. Like down to the end where she's just like, just like being herself and making jokes and like
Mhm.
just like that you can see that despite like her body doing what it was doing, that her spirit was like just there and alive and present. And it's for me a grief and definitely an empathy and also just like a reminder of the joys um and also the joy of being with people that love you and that you love so deeply, and that we can all take care of each other that way. That's the other part that the film really did for me, is a reminder of like we're not alone in this world even when we feel alone,
Mhm.
like, and that's really a beautiful legacy of the movie. Yeah.
Thank you for saying that. Wow.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
And I mean, she took care of everybody her whole life. So
Mhm.
for that to be returned was such a beautiful thing. And she had never asked for it,
Mhm.
you know?
the Coulson family is an extraordinary group of people. From my perspective, and I don't know that this is true, but I believe it is, that of all the family members, Catherine was closest to Claire's mother, Connie. And Connie, in and of herself, Claire's mom, is an extraordinarily wonderful and interesting, fascinating person who had 7 children, who married an international consultant that travels around the world advising generals. That she talks about. I mean, we had dinner over at their house recently. Connie was telling us about hitchhiking around Africa as how she met her husband, Patrick, Claire's father, who's a wonderful, just
Mm.
smart guy. Just you feel, just you feel the power of intelligence and history when you sit and talk to Patrick. It's a strange feeling. He exudes that. But the whole family that I've met is extraordinary. In particular, this group with
Mm.
Claire and Connie and the father and the brothers and sisters. It's an extraordinary group of people. And some of it I'm sure is just genes, but I think we are affected by everything in our lives and the people that near us and what they model to us. And I have to believe that I mean, there's stories that Connie tells and aren't in the movie about, and Claire, I don't know if it was you or Marie. I think it might have been Marie who wanted to be an actress. So when Catherine came down to Los Angeles to do Into the Woods, she ran lines with, was it Marie or you,
I think
Claire?
it was Marie. Marie wanted to be a model.
Right. And by the way, there is a beautiful 3 or 4 minute piece of Marie modeling the bathing suits made by Catherine's great aunt, Margaret Felligy, who designed all these Coal of California bathing suits um, for the famous swimmers of the day.
It's interesting to see how hobbies can pass down generationally,
Mm.
and it makes you feel closer to the ones you've lost. I recently picked up quilting, and it's such a nice outlet for me to have after a stressful day doing, work and school stuff that I feel closer to the people I never even knew. And it, like, one of the bobbins that I was using had a label on it from Illinois, which is where Catherine and her family is from. And it just said, 19 something, 19 cents. And having that, I showed it to my mom. She said, "Oh, yeah, that's my grandma Betty's
Mm.
thread." And it's nice to be able to use their hobbies in a way that, honors their memory too.
Absolutely, and keep it going. That's beautiful. Thank you. Oh, I love everything you both are saying so much. It's wonderful what you're sharing. It's so good. Claire, what is it like to see this movie with your mom, watch this movie with your mom, talk about it with your family?
I'm lucky enough that my family is really close to begin with. Like Richard said, I'm one of 7 children, and we all live within a 30-mile radius of each other. And
Wow.
part of that comes from our parents, the way they raised us. We really have a lot of love for each other, but I think it also comes from our parents' parents and our parents' parents' parents. In seeing those similarities with how my mom is with us and how Catherine was with her daughter Zoe, it's just it's beautiful to see how strong that is. And being able to see the film with my mom, I think just brought us closer together, even though we are very close. I live with my parents right now, and it's a really nice experience to have that in my later 20s. But yeah, it's in a strange way nice to see your parents cry when they don't very often. And my mom
Mm.
does not cry very easily, but the movie did bring up a lot of emotions for her, which rightfully so. But I think there's a lot of beauty in crying too. It feels cathartic and releasing in a lot of ways, and it doesn't have to necessarily be tied to a negative, in my opinion.
Oh no, not at all. Sometimes I feel like, "Ugh, I need to cry, I need to get this out of me. I'll just put on a movie that I love, that I know will get me going, and I'll just go, and then I'll be like, okay,
Mhm.
good. Still Magnolias, eject. I'm done. Great, thank you.
Yeah.
We
And
need it sometimes.
I'm a male who was born in the 50s and raised in the 60s, and
Mhm.
crying was not considered anything that men would do. In fact, when you started crying as a kid, you were told, stop crying, own up, bone, man up, right? So it took me a long time to be able to even get to a place where I could tear, and cry. Now I'm an actor, so if I really work at it, I can do anything, with mind over matter. But I'll tell you, I can make it quick. A story about raising the money for this film. We did a Kickstarter campaign, of which, many people joined us. And in Kickstarter, you have to raise all of your money or you don't get any of your money. And you have a time limit. So we had 30 days. We wanted to raise $250,000 because I knew it was going to be expensive to make this. And it ended up costing almost 900,000. But we raised this $250,000. But a week out, we were at like 150,000, 136, something like some number. And I'm alone in my studio. I have a double storefront on Robertson Boulevard in Los Angeles and tall ceilings, and it's been a wonderful place to work. And I got started to freak out. I got really stoned, to be honest with you. I just smoked a lot of pot and I was really
Love
stoned.
that.
Nobody was in the studio. I went into the front office where we had put all these boxes that we had gotten from Zoe, stuff that she didn't think she wanted, but we wanted to rescue. And it turned out to be a treasure troves of photographs and stuff. But I went into that room and I just started talking to Catherine. And, I tried to talk to my father after he died, and I'm an actor with a very vivid creative imagination. So I could imagine my father in a red tutu across the room. So which was not pleasant. Right. So you talk to somebody, it's your own head. So I didn't continue pursuing it. But this night I talked to Catherine. I just told her what I was trying to do and asked for help. And I broke down and I cried. I cried maybe for 20 minutes, maybe five. I don't know. I was lying on the floor of the studio, crying my eyes out. I think I'd ever cried that hard. And when I was done, I said, if we raise this money, I will talk to you. Not expecting answers, but just talking to Catherine, consulting Catherine. Got a big decision to make. What would Catherine do? Then it turns out that in the interview with Claire's mom, she's on her way. She's driving up for the funeral.
Ooh, I have a post-it that would say,
What
I
would
says
Catherine
it.
do?
What
What
would
would
Cookie
Catherine,
do?
what would Cookie do? So she had this image. She felt that Catherine was in the car with her, and she said, "If you ever have a problem and you don't know what to do, just ask what would Catherine do, or maybe Cookie to your mom." And then one of the cousins said that Catherine had actually said that to her a few months before she died. So this notion of talking to the dead, I've got a couple of songs in the movie about it. It's for me, I'm still a healthy skeptic about all of it, but I realized that just like AI, it was AI that had me accept this and understand it. If you want AI to work, you have to program, you have to feed it information, right? So you feed it three Dickens novels and say, write a Dickens novel, it's going to take what it got and create something, whether it's good or bad. Well, we do that with people, right? We absorb everything they've said and everything they've done. They're in our heads, right? So when they pass, whether they're continuing to talk to us from some higher plane, or I've just got a data bank of Catherine in my head, and when I ask what would Catherine do, my own imagination presents me something. To me, it doesn't make a damn bit of difference. I am now sometimes in my meditations. I'll have to hear from Donna, from Catherine, from David, and from our recent friend Cab, who also passed. Does it make any sense? Is it my imagination? I have no idea. But does it matter? Right? If it's giving me insight and a place to go, there's a line in one of the songs, and this is becoming a long answer. We practice not to do long answers today, but
You're doing great,
um,
Richard. You're doing great.
the line in the movie is um, if I hear you in my heart, it'll be a start. At least I'll know how I feel. If I can hear you in my heart, I'll have what to go on, and I won't have to go on without you. So it doesn't matter. Does it really matter if this is happening or not happening, or if I'm interpreting it? David Lynch was one of the most directly wise people. He understood him, right? So he was just it was very to be with David was just extraordinarily comfortable. I can't express it other than that. He just seemed like, he was just really glad you were standing in front of him. And this is something that I think he shared with Catherine. I think they shared it deeply.
Richard, I love that. I love this idea that we can tap into accessing them in whatever way that means to us, whether it's through meditation or through just having the conversation out loud and making contact of whatever sort. and also just trusting that they live inside of us too, that we can we already have some of that in us because we knew them, because we are connected to them, because we study their like their art is within us. So it's kind of both of those things. I really love that. I think that's I think that feels really hopeful for me to hear, right? In times when I feel so disconnected from I don't know, people that are not on this particular planet in this particular quantum reality of that we're in, that that if we listen closely enough, we might be able to access them, and we also can be reminded that they're in us anyway.
I like that. Yeah.
I like it too. Well, this is so, I love our conversation. It's beautiful, it's metaphysical, it's cute. Um, Tell me, both of you, if you're open to it, what are either through the film or just knowing her, tell me like a sweet, a funny, a cute story that you have with Catherine, a memory that you have with her.
We'll talk about the last time that I saw her because that one kind of sits in my head a lot. Um, my mom's family is very large. Catherine is one of four. Her two of her brothers both had six children, and Bill Coulson, her older brother, started the Coulson Family Jazz Band. And every year they would perform at, different places, one of which was the Sacramento Jazz Festival. And we would go every year as a family. Even after they stopped performing there, we would go. And it became like a Coulson family reunion every year we would go. And the last time, May of 2015, um, Catherine came and she was weak at that point, pretty visibly, which was kind of a shock for us who hadn't seen her because it all came on super fast. And her, despite her, setbacks physically, her desire and need to come and see her family was such a beautiful thing to be a part of and to share memories together and enjoy music that our family had for, decades before was just a really beautiful moment.
Wait, now, did you play in this band? Who was playing in
I
this
did
band?
not. So it's my mom's cousins, all
Oh,
of
okay.
Bill Coulson's children. Yeah.
Okay, I see. Okay. You were just
There's,
there jamming out
yeah.
with them, like dancing in the audience, like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Maybe I would occasionally play the triangle or a tambourine.
Nice. Yeah, good. I love that. I love that story. Thank you, Claire. That's great. How about for you, Richard?
Well, if you let me share, I'll show you something that you might enjoy.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Recognize the guy with the trumpet?
Oh, wow.
Oh my goodness. This is amazing. What are we, tell us what we're looking at.
Looking at Catherine's second wedding. And this is the Colson family band. And that's David Lynch playing trumpet with them. So there's David. And who's this, Alex?
So that is Tom Coulson, who is in Eraserhead. He's a
Oh, that's
child in
Tom?
Eraserhead. Hmm.
That's Tom? Because I saw him, a couple of weeks ago. He didn't have long brown hair anymore. That's
And then that's Monica
Monica,
behind
right?
them, Monica
Yeah.
Coulson, who came to both the Ojai screening and the San Francisco screening, and Bill Coulson on the right, and he is Catherine's brother.
What was what was the question?
Oh, the question was just to share like a funny memory or a cute story or something that comes to mind when you think about Catherine, either that came up in filming or
Well,
just
I mean, there are
general.
millions of stories, not necessarily all related to me, but I will tell you just an interesting thing that happened that you've seen in the movie, maybe not realize it. Um, I have been for the last 15 years going to a music jam that started 60 years ago at the same school that Catherine went to. Catherine knew this guy, Jeffrey Fiskin, who's a screenwriter. He wrote Cutter's Way. He works on Bosch sometimes. Um, and I've been going to this music jam at their place. And down like 2 blocks away from the house is the apartment that Catherine lived at with Jack, that David eventually lived at with Catherine and Jack, and then just Catherine, right? And I would go every Wednesday or Thursday night, 10 years, and once I started this project for 4 or 5 years, I would go whenever I left, I'd drive by the apartment and go knock on the doors. Anybody here? Is there any chance we can get in and shoot a scene in here? Never could find, nobody was there. Nobody, I got found the name of the management company. They didn't respond. And I started to give it up. Then Jane Albachet, our angel, this is our executive producer who came on during the campaign. She was the person that put us over the top so that we could get some money, right?
Oh,
Gave us
nice.
a lot of money. And she's just been involved. She was losing her husband, and she ended up zooming in on my editing process 5 years ago. And she has been every step of the way with us, financially, emotionally, great editor, love falling in love with all of the people that are involved here. She's amazing. So she comes into town. This is maybe the second time she'd come to visit, and I said, let's go over, just drop by the apartment and see if there's anybody there, if we can get in. Just one more effort before we give it up and find another location. We go up, and you have to go up the stairs, and it's kind of this cool little stairway and alcove thing, and we look on the door, and there's a window in the door, and we look inside, it's being painted. And we go, holy shit, they're renting this apartment. We knocked on every door. We got the name. We rented that apartment days later. That's where we shot those scenes
Oh,
that David
wow.
and Catherine falling. The party scene, we shot for 2 days there, all sorts of different scenes. There's a scene, Mindy Alper, right, who's in the movie, I wish there was more of her in the film. It's just time-wise. There's a 3-part miniseries we will release one day. But Mindy Alper had lost, she was going to do a book with this guy, right? And Catherine was incredibly important in Mindy's life. She helped her talk. She helped set her up so that she could, I mean, we'll get into this another time, but this guy died and Mindy was going to do a book. So Catherine came over, pulled Mindy out of the shower and hugged her and encouraged her to let her and told her that this guy had died. So she was there for Mindy. So we shot that scene in the shower at Catherine's
Wow.
apartment. We didn't include it. It's one of those social media posts we might put out there one day. It is a part of the 3-part miniseries. But being in that apartment, and I'm not
That's
going now.
powerful.
One of our musicians, Jake Blue Note, who's one of the composers in the film and who's in the film actually as well, he kept the apartment, right? We rented it and kept it, and Jake lives there blocks away from his father. You wouldn't recognize it because every available inch of space is an instrument. I mean, I can't tell you how many guitars and just you name it, it's there in this apartment. But there's a Christmas party every year. And last year, I got to sing with Jackson Brown at that Christmas party. It
That's
was
amazing.
it was, I was sitting there at one point, Jackson finished the song and they asked me to do a song and I did a song and he was like hanging with me and talking to
That's
me.
so cool.
And I'm sitting there looking around. I'm going, I was 20. This is 50 years ago that
Mhm.
I came into this apartment and met these people. And look what's happening. 50 years later, there's more life in this place.
Yes.
It was it was it was moving.
Whoa, that's a trip. I'm so glad you made it happen. You were you
I did.
persevered to get it
I
to get
did.
there. I
Which I
love
think I think that's Catherine's message.
my senses is that, despite, dealing with, abusive men, ridiculousness in her life, surviving all of that stuff, she's persevering and she's becoming the artist that she was. I mean, all along from the beginning.
Mhm.
Like it's just there, you can see it. And not just her art as an actor, of course, but also her camera work and all of the kind of like the things she was doing behind the scenes that I think also this movie really highlights, which I really appreciated, and highlights her stage work, which I knew a little bit about, but then by the end I was
Mhm.
like, oh my gosh, look at this Oregon family. Oh my goodness,
Yeah.
they're incredible. They're
I
incredible.
mean, there are so many people who knew her not as the log lady, who knew her
Mhm.
just from theater,
Yeah.
and people who knew her just within the community, within like the activism, environmental activism that she did, that her daughter is now carrying on, which is really beautiful to see.
Oh,
You
that's
should
so great.
tell Em about that real
Yeah,
quick.
what's
Yeah,
that?
so Zoe Coulson, Catherine's daughter, is
Yeah.
working with the World Forestry Center in Portland,
Mm.
and they've created a pop-up exhibit that's going to be May 1st through June 8th that is going to be displaying the log for the first time ever in order to raise funds to save the forests.
We're doing a
Amazing.
we're doing a collab with them through Claire for our opening in Portland as well. We're playing May 1st in Portland. So there's a
May 14th is when we're playing. Yeah.
excuse me, not May 1st. May 1st is New York. Sorry, is IFC. May 14th in Portland.
And for that exhibit, so Zoe is going to be bringing the log, and I will be bringing the glasses, which my mom found in a strange
Tell her that story.
sequence of events.
Tell her.
So yeah, a little side quest. A couple weeks ago for the Ojai screening, I thought it'd be really nice to have something like glasses there. So we went online trying to find some glasses. None of them looked just right. And then I thought, okay, well, I'll just get a cookie cutter and make some cut out glasses cookies for each seat. No big deal. And then later that day, my mom comes home from work and comes into my room and says, I don't know why, but I felt really compelled to look for something. Comes out of her room. I'll go grab them. Give me a sec. And she pulls out the glasses. And she says, I don't know why I felt like I needed to find them. We know it's because of the power of Cookie, Catherine. And then I put them in a display case and brought them to Ojai. And it was a really beautiful experience for fans to see for the first time. It's the first time they've ever popped up, really. And when Zoe reached out to me about the exhibit with the log and raising funds for the forest, I thought, well, why not bring them back together for the first time ever? The glasses and the log have never really been together since Catherine's passing, and that's almost 10 years ago, actually. I'll go grab them one sec.
10 years.
They're in.
We've been talking for 45 minutes and I've cried like 5 times. This is another
No
one of
word,
those
no mention of
times.
no mention of tattoos.
No mention of tattoos. Not yet. We're almost there, but that
Yeah,
that's
here,
just
here, let
another
me
example.
unplug.
I mean, what you're describing, Claire, feels to me like an example of what, Richard, you were just talking about around getting in contact with her and like that guide, that letting that guide, whether it's within you or externally. I'm sorry, Claire, can you show them again,
Oh,
please?
yeah.
I'm like, that
There you
was
go.
not enough.
Oh,
Um,
probably better with the
oh,
light.
the light. Oh,
Yeah, twist the box a little bit. She'll see it better.
wow. Wow.
So these will be making their way up to Portland
Thank you
in a
for
couple of
sharing that
weeks.
with
And
me. That's so great.
they're going to be in Hollywood, right?
I'll be bringing them to the LA premiere that's at the Egyptian on the 17th, a week from tomorrow.
Yes. We also have two stand-up cutouts, one of the Log Lady and one of Catherine. And we started with Claire just doing one of Catherine, and then I said, wait a minute. So we got a Log Lady and we got a Catherine. They're standing next to each other. The title of the film will be sitting across their chest, and we'll have a little box, and people will be able to stand behind them and have their heads between Catherine and the Log Lady and their arms over their shoulders for a photograph at the red carpet.
That's so cute. These are such creative and wonderful ideas, and I'm so glad that you're sharing these things with the world in addition to these screenings. And I know y'all are you've been back to back with screenings, working so hard getting this movie out and about. I'm so glad that like people are coming. I know people are loving it. I'm hearing such great things, and I know you're very, very, very busy. I will put whatever links that you want. I want people to know about all of the things that are upcoming, the log that's going to be happening, and the glass,
Mhm.
just and all the events that are up and coming. I definitely want to link all of those. Um, and Claire, I'd love to just ask you about your Twin Peaks tattoo, since we're on the Twin
Okay.
Peaks Tattoo podcast. Tell me a little bit about your tattoo. What is it? Where is it?
Okay.
What does it look like?
Yeah, so Richard had briefly mentioned her name earlier. Mindy Albert, who is a really good friend of Catherine's and an amazing artist, drew up Catherine's business card. I think we mentioned it in the film
Oh
briefly,
yeah.
and it's her hands holding a log, and she had that business card and she would pass it out to people. And I remember receiving one before she passed away, and I kept it in the back of my phone for a couple of years. And at the time, I hadn't had any tattoos. And I thought, well, if I can look at this every day for a year and still feel really deeply connected to it, I guess I'll just permanently put it on my body.
Love it.
And then I did. And it was the first tattoo I got. And to this day, I don't have that many, but it's definitely the one I feel closest to. And I got it on the inside of my arm here. You can kind of see it.
Yes.
I'll share it with you.
Thank you.
Um, and yeah, the experience, I mean, Mindy Alpert is the artist. The person who gave me the tattoo was not Mindy Alpert. It was a really good friend of mine in Humboldt, where I lived for 5 years, and it was just done in my kitchen, my kitchen island, plugged in machine, just kind of pretty DIY.
Was it
But
I've never
it's
had a
turned out pretty well over the years.
Yeah,
It
it looks
hasn't,
great.
Is it, I have a question for both of you because I don't have any tattoos. Is it shocking how much it hurts when you actually sit down and do it at first?
Go
I
ahead,
can answer
Claire.
that
Yeah,
first.
okay, yeah.
I think it depends on if it's with a machine or a stick and poke. Most of mine are just done by myself, stick and poke, and those ones hurt a lot more,
Mm,
especially the foot. And when you mentioned the feet, for me, that was the most painful one by far. I think it just depends on how many nerve endings there are in a spot that you get.
definitely. I agree with that. And I've never had a stick and poke, so that's interesting to hear
Oh,
you speak about that. And yeah, I'm curious about that. I think also placement, it really like the feet. The inner arm right here. This is spicy. This is spicy. Ribs, I have a little thing that goes on my one of my rib or just a few of my ribs, and I'm just like, oop, okay, never again. And I think those are some of the main ones. I think definitely like neck and these things would hurt more. But to me, there is pain, absolutely. But I get more into a meditative state around it. For me, it's a very spiritual experience to get tattooed. It's very healing. It's part of my self-care routine. Um, and it's part of like reclaiming parts of my body. I've had a very complicated relationship with my body my whole life. So it's about sort of
mm,
decorating it in the way that I want to and kind of reclaiming parts of my body that have been, mm, yeah, complicated, traumatized, etc. I also just love having the relationship with the artist and like, just sitting back and shooting the shit and catching up
mm,
and like, oh my gosh, what's the tea on this? Especially if you work with the same artist over a period of time, you can really, it's a powerful relationship, like kind of like other healer type of relationships you might have, a counselor, a therapist, or a massage therapist, or someone that you trust that's helping you do somatic work and somatic healing. That's my take on it. Um,
beautiful. Love that.
I know. It's just, I guess I have a whole podcast about the thing, because I started having all these Twin Peaks tattoos and I thought there's got to be a lot of people who have them too. And it turns out there are.
Totally.
It's wonderful to talk to people about it. Claire, did you get the tattoo before Catherine had passed, or was it after and more of like a memorial to her?
I got it 2 years after she passed away.
Uh,
And for me, I wanted to feel closer to her because when she was around, I wasn't as close as she was with other people. And now she's with me every day in spiritual form and physical. And,
And
there's a beautiful line that David says in the film is, Catherine's left her physical body, but she's around, and we'll all see each other again.
yeah, I love it. I love when he says that. I've always thought about her character as like a seer, somebody who has access to the transpersonal realm, through the log delivering these messages and everything. And in the documentary, Kyle says, I wrote this down about her, about Margaret. He says, in this world of Twin Peaks, there are keepers of secrets,
Mm-hmm.
visionaries, and she's a shaman. And I was like,
Woman.
ooh, well, let me write that down right now. So I was curious about that, Claire, to ask you about as you're wearing the log, if you have or sense into any of that like shamanic energy of of the log, or if that resonates for you or not. It could also be like, nope, I don't agree with Kyle or whatever. But I'm
I
curious.
do. I do agree with that to a certain extent. I think, well, let me answer the first part of that. There's another quote he says pretty similarly right next to that. He says, every role I did after Twin Peaks, I was just waiting to go back.
Mm,
And and for me, it's being tied to this community that you've started at a young age and having this sense of just comfort around them. And for me, I guess with her character, I got to be fully transparent. I haven't seen the whole series
mhm.
for a couple of different reasons, but the parts that I have seen with her have just made me feel like she's always around. She's not, maybe she is the log now. Maybe the law, she is the thing that is giving us who are still around these pointers or things of advice. So her
There,
physical body can just kind of morph, yeah.
there certainly is. I mean, the glasses is one small example of the kind of just strange little quirks of, oh my God, okay, yeah, let's go. It's been happening from the beginning of the film. Um, so I don't have any answers as to whether it's real or whether it's us or what, but I think that what I've lost four people in well, three people in about 2.5 months.
Oh my
Donna
goodness.
Dumaine passed a month before David. Donna, who's in our film and introduced me to David and Catherine, and then David, and then Cab Covey, who was also in our original theater company, was super close to Catherine. I don't know if you ever met David.
Hmm.
And this experience and losing these people now as the film is coming out, and I'm getting like, wonderful response from people, and it just makes me think more and more. And this is to be honest, one of the reasons why I thought the film was important to begin with, is that we just don't deal with death in this country. And I don't know that any countries deal with it much better, but we don't talk about it. We're afraid of it.
Real.
It has, horror fears. I mean, it motivates almost every thriller in the world, right? Is fear of death. We can't let that happen. That's always the ticking clock. And in fact, we're all going to die, and some of us sooner than others. And the acceptance of that, the acceptance that, okay, I had Donna for 50 years, we were close, close friends, and she's gone. But we're not gone, and her memory, my memories of her are not gone, and her approach to life and the kind of advice she would give me when I needed her, the comfort or the reassurance, those things aren't gone. And I do not want to die. I have a young girlfriend and 10 more projects I want to do. Um, but I kind of accept that that may happen sometime. It could happen tomorrow. It could happen, 10 years from now or whatever. I hope to be still playing music at 95. But, I'm glad to have that experience, because the Tao Te Ching, which I've been enjoying for many, many years, it says you can't really enjoy life until you fully embrace death, until you realize it. It's like the difference between a beat that's really fresh and one that ain't, right?
Yeah,
This is it.
I like that.
This is our life.
A Pete that's Russian one that ain't. I like that. Uh-huh.
Can I ask you about the
Yeah.
closeness you feel to your Twin Peaks tattoos?
Oh, that's such a beautiful question. Thank you. Yeah, I think about those tattoos and other ones that I have because I have a lot of very silly nostalgic tattoos. Like I have like one of the Chuck E. Cheese animatronic band characters.
Love that.
Just like very unusually specific. I have Gremlina from Gremlins 2, the new batch. So I think for me, with things that I love, and I love Gremlins too, and I actually love I love weird animatronic bands that are like from the 80s. Those things that I love, and Twin Peaks is my favorite show. It's like I can take the show with me and
Mm.
have it with me, and it feels like a comfort and like what I would call like a transitional object, something that transitions you from the thing you love and that is a comfort and that takes care of you into the outside world. The way like kids might have like a blanket or like a pacifier or whatever, and they
Sure.
take it from the parent or the caregiver and then go to the outside world. Sorry if you already know all of this, and I'm just like, I'm not trying to
No, no,
like
no. You're putting
psych
it very
explain.
well.
I'm not trying to psych explain anything, but just like, the people might be like, what is I'm saying with all this, jargon? But it's kind of like that for me is being able to carry around the things that I love the most and that bring me joy and comfort. And again, reclaiming and reauthoring the narrative of my body at the same time. When I look at my Twin Peaks tattoos, I feel relaxed. I feel held. I think about parts of the show sometimes or Fire Walk with Me that comes in. But I think mostly I think about now my friends in the community, like the people who
Mhm.
we're all together doing this thing. A lot of us, we all saw each other in February. And that's what I think about now. So it's interesting to see how my relationship to Twin Peaks has changed now
Mm.
that I've become more immersed in the world and with the people who love it as much as I do and are just as weird as I am. It's
Mhm.
wonderful. Like, I
I
just want
love
to be with
that.
a bunch of weirdos. So great.
I have a comment for you about that. After was it the memorial? We did a memorial. You and Scott hosted a memorial for David, and
Yeah.
there was a bunch of talking and a bunch of stuff. It was really great. It was wonderful. And afterward, I think I wrote you saying that I had an idea for you, which I want to get into now.
Okay.
But I will. But the basis of it was is I think you're really, really good at this. I thought that you and Scott did a great job. We know that Scott has got his thing and he's comic and it's it's Scott. It's a thing. It could if you took him out of Twin Peaks and put him in Moonlighting, he'd be Scott. If you took him out of Moonlighting and put him into something else, he'd be Scott. He's Scott. But there was a wonderful vibe, and I'm seeing it here in our conversation and imagining this going out to other people about how good you are at doing these interviews, and you don't. It isn't just questions. You're sharing yourself, reflecting. It's a real nice give and take, and I saw that day with Scott when you did the memorial. I just want to encourage you to do more of it. Um, the
Thank you.
Twin Peaks crowd, it's a smart group of people. These are
They're
artists.
amazing.
Most of the people that made the thing up in North Bend happen all work at Microsoft. They're all programmers and software designers. These are smart people. And I think what David tapped into with Mark Frost as well. I don't know, getting him short shrift here at all because he's a brilliant writer in more ways than we can
Oh
imagine.
yeah, for sure.
Um, but what I think they tapped into was, okay, here's a town, you don't know this town. Some of the people are real quirky, some of them are just like everybody else. But the essential humanity of each of
Mhm.
those people, even when it's perverted and, Leland's craziness, it's human. It's the human,
Mhm.
it's the who we really are. And I imagine that, if our minds or our consciousness or our soul it stays after death or doesn't stay after death while we're alive, that's going on all the time while our bodies are driving cars or having sex or eating or having an argument. And keeping the totems, keeping the things that remind us of our larger life
Mhm.
rather than the asshole who cut us off on the freeway 5 minutes ago. Those are essential to me for having a rich life, for
Agreed.
knowing where to put your energy and what's
Hmm.
important, you know. Um,
Hmm.
my son lives, 20 miles away from where I am, and I haven't seen him for a week and a half because he had COVID. And I'm really busy right now, and I got to get on a plane on Friday morning.
Oh my God, you guys are
I'm
so
getting
busy.
in the car tonight and driving out to see my son. It'll take me a
Oh,
half an
that's
hour to get
great.
there. After he's done with his day, which will be 8:30, just because I want to see him and I want him to know I want to see him and I want him to see me and I need to see him. It's this remembering the values of life. So much of life is drudgery. So much of it is routine. And yet, none of it has to be done in a drudge-like or routine way.
That's right.
I can't tell you how many cups of coffee I've made in my life, one every day since I was about 12, but how many for other people and how many times did I drink them? And yet, making that cup of coffee, I can either do it unconsciously or I
Hmm.
can really enjoy it. Being present. That's,
It's being mindful. It's using mindfulness really and being present in every moment and doing things mm, intentionally.
yeah.
Mhm.
That's what makes a rich life,
Yeah,
to me.
I agree.
And that's what Catherine's life was.
Yeah.
I mean, yes.
Everything she did.
There's a part that's not in the movie, it's in the three-part, where Timmy Near, who everybody falls in love with in this movie, she's
Mm,
so
yeah,
wonderful,
she's so
right?
great.
She says, I would go to Catherine. She was a great cook. She could cook, but Catherine would do seven things. She could be cooking dinner and catching up on you and showing you a book that she got for you and asking you about this and doing just all of these different things. She was just rich with life. And, I don't know how much it's related, but I think that I mean I haven't a lot of energy, and my friends and family have told me this all my life. But my energy is not limitless, right? It's most of it's coming from either fear or inspiration. And those two things may be the same, necessity being the mother of invention. But I'm, I think that Catherine was alive all the time. And the people that I met through her I want to just say one more thing. I've never said this to anybody in an interview before, but the issue of whether I can talk to the dead or Catherine's influencing us now through some, magic way, some telepathic way. Catherine influenced every one of the people that we interviewed deeply. It wasn't, oh yeah, I met her
Yes.
one time. No, these are people whose lives were changed and
Yes.
enriched by Catherine. She influenced all of those people. Those people answered my questions. Tell me Catherine didn't influence all of it, right? She's influenced the person, and then the person talks to me, and then I find a way to put it into a movie. It's Catherine from the beginning. That's where
Absolutely.
the influence lies. These are eloquent, amazing people, all of them so accomplished. And yet they had this incredible experience. So I just, in terms of whether Catherine influences me psychically or she influences me through the words that are said to these people, I don't know that it makes a difference. But I do, as a filmmaker, there are two things that I am just getting off on hearing from people. One is that they feel like they know her. They feel like they do because all the people that are so close to her are talking about it. And the other thing is that they're inspired. They're crying and they're inspired and they want
Mhm.
more with their own lives.
Yeah,
What else can you ask for? I don't know.
absolutely. Absolutely.
And kind of tying it back, I mean, your podcast is a Twin Peaks podcast. Twin Peaks, as you see in the film, was basically started with this one character in mind, which is Cat Margaret Lannerman, who, came into our lives 35 years ago, almost to the day, and she's in all of us and kind of always will be. And
Yeah.
that's what's great about the Twin Peaks community and the fans is you feel seen, you feel accepted in
Mhm.
places that maybe you wouldn't otherwise.
Yes.
And yeah, there's a lot of beauty to that, I think.
I
It's
would add something.
huge. It's
I would add
huge.
something to that. I would add something that, and I think of the Star Trek fans. We have a bit of Star Trek in our movie, and we haven't even started to reach out to Star Trek fans who are going to want to see the film as well. But there's a difference. In Star Trek, you had many, many seasons and many iterations, and people are fans, and they're like the ideas and the concepts and everything. But it's not everyday people. It isn't, the people in the characters in Twin Peaks are not they're not race car drivers and spacemen. They're people. They own diners and run restaurants and gas stations and have jobs, clerical jobs in police
Mm-hmm.
stations. These are real people who are experiencing these things. And I think it's that reality, that acceptance of our common humanity that
Hmm.
keeps going. I don't think that Star Trek fans have that. They didn't have William Shatner coming for 25 years to visit, sets and I just think I think it is very, very unusual and very unique in the world. But I think it's all based on the fact that, look, Em, you're a smart, smart person. If this was only about new information, you'd have been bored 10 years ago. It is about the new reactions and people's inspiration and the fan art. This is a living thing. It isn't a nostalgia thing at all. It's very much about what's happening now. And, how many people would love to see a season four, which is not going to happen.
Right. Well, that's the thing I love about it. Twin Peaks is something that we can talk about forever and ever and ever and ever and ever and ever. And we shouldn't ever figure it out. You know,
Well, it's
it's
not intended to be fully
exactly.
figured out.
No, it can't be. That's the beauty of the art. And we get to make
Yeah.
art based on the inspirations that come from the art that we love. And that Catherine was such a huge part of that we draw
Mhm.
from and like that we feel into. And um I feel, yeah, it did, and it all really translates in this movie. I mean, the two of you and all the folks who are involved in production, you should just be so proud of what you made.
Mhm.
It's truly incredible. And it's so important for people like me, again, who are listening, many of whom are listening to this, that we want to have this so that we can access it and hold on to it and revisit these stories the preservation of that is really important to us, as much as it is, of course, to family and friends and all of that. And, perhaps the Hollywood community and her acting community and things, but it's really important to people like us. And so this movie is for us. So everybody listening with your Twin Peaks tattoos, go see this movie in all these places. Now, last question for each of you. Claire, are there any other Twin Peaks and or Catherine tattoos in your future?
Can't say no. I mean, who's to say? Sure. I I definitely get the feeling that you get, to the it's a form of self-care for
Mhm.
sure for me. I think the older I've gotten, the more I feel inclined to get it newer work professionally done. So
Mhm.
maybe not any more stick and pokes in the future, but definitely.
The only
And
tattoo, go ahead,
oh, I
please.
was just gonna ask Claire if you had any like percolating. I have like a laundry list of tattoo ideas that are in my future. Do you have anything?
I do.
Okay.
When my grandmother passed away, I had a friend re-illustrate her college poster, like running for class president. So I had a friend of mine, I'm feel more drawn to traditional work. So he
Mhm.
drew like a pinup of her,
Wow.
and it said like vote for Luva, which was, her slogan.
Love
And
it.
then when she passed away, well, I was her primary caretaker for the last few months before she passed away. And I had only had the Catherine tattoo, the log at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And she was had pretty severe dementia, so she was in and out of it. But on a lucid day, she pointed at it and she said, "Is that a tattoo?" And I didn't really know how to respond because she grew up conservative German, wasn't really super keen on them, but she liked it, which was really strange. So in a way, I do feel closer to her having that fan drawn, having drawn that art. If and when the time comes that I'll get another piece, it'll probably be that
Yeah,
for sure.
absolutely. That's such a cool idea. And I love traditional style and I love pinup.
Hmm.
Where would you get it? Do you know?
The back of my leg, probably.
Oh, but back like a calf or
Back half, yeah.
back half. Excellent. Excellent. That's not too
Just
spicy.
to fill up some space because I already have stuff down there and it feels
Mm.
patchy like a, teenager's beard. I would just want to fill it up a little bit.
You did not just say teenager's beer. That's
You
perfect.
did beautiful.
That's genius. I love it so much. I know I have a leg like that that's just like, what is happening here? What is the plan? You're just throwing stuff on. You just don't even know what you're doing. Like I have like a Grey Gardens tattoo of like that's Edie Beale and like a Cupid doll. Like, what am I doing
Mm.
here? I mean, it's so I love it actually, but it's
Hmm.
just miscellaneous. Miscellaneous. My
Yeah.
partner calls it my junk leg. Loving, lovingly.
I love it.
Thanks for sharing that, Claire. I love it. How about
Yeah,
for
of
you,
course.
Richard? What Twin Peaks tattoo would you have in your future?
So
Or
I don't
Catherine
have,
tattoo?
I only have one tattoo, and it's
Uh-huh.
because I stuck myself with India ink on an ink pen. And so I have a little tiny spot of ink on my hand. And I've been dancing with it for a long time. Tattoos got so popular. I'm anti-popular. I want to do
Hmm.
my own thing.
Hmm.
So I wasn't going to do it. Now I'm past that, and we all are past that, kind of uniqueness. The people who are into tattoos are into tattoos, and
Hmm.
there's some beautiful work. Um, I'm tempted to sort of make a deal with myself today. So that if enough people see this movie, that we get the money back that we all spent, because I'm deep in debt, as a couple of other people for this. If we get it all back, I will. Maybe we'll have a contest on what tattoo should Richard get. It's going to be small, everybody, I tell you, and not going to be on my feet. That's for sure.
I think neck is a
I'm
good
learning.
starter.
But if we get there,
Armpit, armpit.
oh, I don't know about that.
No,
If
it's
we're
horrible.
and I don't mean just financially. I mean if enough people see this, then we'll be okay, and I'll be able to work on something else in the future or whatever else. But if that happens here on this podcast, I am telling you, in fact, if you're still doing your tattoo podcast, when that happens, I'll have my first tattoo on the
Okay.
Twin Peaks Tattoo Podcast, and it'll say something like WWCD. What would Catherine do?
Oh, I love that.
Dog or something of that nature. So you've got
Oh
me
my
committed
goodness.
on tape telling you that I will get a tattoo if we succeed enough that we get out of debt.
And you will. So I will be seeing you again. So that's just not a question. It's
So
gonna happen. And
let's start thinking about what kind of tattoo I'm going to
I
get.
know. Well, it's gonna happen. The movie is, playing in so many different places. Say again just the things that are coming up in the next week and couple of weeks. I know y'all are going to Chicago too, right? Is that pretty soon?
Hmm.
We have there's more than I'm going to say, but I'm personally going to Columbus, Ohio on Friday. We have a screening there. Then I'm driving to Chicago. We have a screening of Catherine. Oh, I know Catherine, and I don't know Jack, the documentary about Eraserhead store. And then we come back immediately to this red carpet at the. It's it's great. It's the American Cinematheque, which is super respected. They're having a festival called This Is Not a Fiction, and we are closing the festival
That's
with a.
awesome.
It's pretty great.
And
I
that's at the
I have to,
Egyptian.
yes, at the Egyptian. Em, thank you so much. This is so
Thank
much
you
fun
so much,
talking to you.
Richard.
Let's
I
do this in
really
person.
appreciate it.
We don't even have to record it. We can all just hang out and have a meal.
Yeah, we could talk. I love
All right,
it.
I'm
Thanks
jumping
so
off.
much, Richard.
Okay.
Thank you both.
And we actually have one today at the Philomoka in Philly. That one is sold out due to popular demand. So we added a second date, and that's going to be at the end of the month. There's dates getting added every day. We just added Seattle yesterday and San Luis Obispo. So all of that information will be available on our website, iknowcatherine.com, as well as our Instagram. Sorry if I'm plugging everything.
Love that. Want that. Do it.
Okay. Log Lady Film at Log Lady Film on Instagram. Same with TikTok, same with Facebook. And yeah, that's it.
That's great. That's so wonderful, Claire. And that's the place, like the website is the place to go to get updates as these things are added and to like get tickets. Is that right? Like that's the central
Yeah.
hub of things. Okay.
Tickets are going to be on the website, and then a lot of the updates will primarily be on Instagram, especially
Okay.
our collaborations, like with the World Forestry Center, that exhibit that's May 1st to June 8th again. And yeah, both our social media and their social media. So look
Claire,
out for
you
that.
you are just working so hard on this. Like it's so incredible
Thanks.
to hear all of what you've been doing and to be part of it this way. And um yeah, thank you for all your work and your contributions. And it's so, so, so important what y'all are doing. So thank you.
Ditto. Thank you so much for all the work that you're doing. It's really beautiful to see the community, how strong it really is.
Thanks for listening to the Twin Peaks Tattoo Podcast. Rate and review us on iTunes and follow me on Instagram at @emsmarinelli.